He never meant to flirt with a god. Especially not that god, 10 stories tall, eyes like collapsing suns, and a temper that could vaporize a moon faster than a bad pickup line. But that was the thing about humans: give them an audience, give them a drink, and somehow someone decides to open his mouth when silence would have been the wiser species-preserving option. Rex Dalton, official cultural liaison for the Terran Embassy of the Galactic Dominion, was mostly a glorified tour guide for aliens who couldn't tell a fork from a laser scalpel. His job was to explain the quaint customs of humanity, like why we smile when we're uncomfortable or why we put tiny paper umbrellas in toxic drinks. He wasn't supposed to meet the giant Empress, let alone make her notice him. But humans have a knack for getting noticed, often for the wrong reasons. The giant Empress ruled the Heliox Continuum, a civilization so advanced that its smallest political scandal could collapse 3 realities and a half-dimension. She was colossal, radiant, and older than starlight itself. Every planet in her empire sang her name daily, sometimes literally. Their atmospheres were tuned to vibrate at her preferred frequency. Most mortals saw her only through ceremonial projections. Rex saw her in person. Mostly because he'd tripped into her throne chamber during a diplomatic reception while trying to smuggle a bottle of alien champagne back to his quarters. Who trespasses the hall of celestial command? Her voice thundered, filling the chamber with gravitational music. Rex blinked. Room service. She turned, galaxies swirled in her hair, and her lips glowed like magma pretending to be polite. Her expression, however, suggested she had never once ordered room service. The guards, each made of condensed starlight and bad mood, moved toward him, spears of plasma humming. He raised both hands. Whoa, easy. I'm unarmed, unless you count devastating charm and crippling debt. Silence. Even the gravity seemed to hold its breath. Then, a sound. Faint. Like a black hole snickering. The Empress tilted her head, intrigued. You jest, before your annihilation. Lady, I jest before breakfast, he said. It's kind of my species thing. We laugh at the abyss before it eats us. That got her attention. No one had ever talked to her that way. Not priests. Not generals. Certainly not a hair-ruffled Terran wearing a half-unbuttoned uniform and a grin that didn't understand the concept of self-preservation. Human, she said, voice now quieter but heavier. You stand before a being whose pulse commands the stars. Do you fear me? He considered. Honestly? I fear hangovers more. Another pause. The guards looked confused, as if trying to calculate whether humor counted as treason. The Empress's eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in something else. Curiosity. Maybe even amusement. You are bold. Occupational hazard, Rex said. We're from a planet that tries to kill us daily. You either get bold or extinct. Her eyes flickered. And yet you smile at me. Why? Now, any sane diplomat would have bowed, apologized, begged for mercy, and blamed cosmic navigation error. Rex was not that diplomat. He looked up, and because humans are wired for catastrophe wrapped in sincerity, he said it. Because you're beautiful. The words hit the chamber like a comet through stained glass. The guards froze. The temperature rose several million degrees. Somewhere, a star went supernova early out of sheer awkwardness. Beautiful, she repeated, as if the word were a fragile animal she'd never dared touch. He shrugged. Yeah. The kind of beautiful that makes physics take a smoke break. She stepped closer, her enormity bending light, reality trembling at the edges. You speak nonsense. Guilty as charged. But honest nonsense. Her face softened, barely, like a glacier considering spring. She lowered herself, vast enough that even kneeling filled half the chamber's horizon. Her breath shimmered with particles of creation. None have ever said such to me, she said. They call me divine, eternal, terrible, but not beautiful. Maybe they're scared of saying it wrong, Rex said. Maybe they've never looked past the throne. He realized too late how it sounded, romantic, poetic, dangerously personal. His brain screamed abort mission. His mouth kept talking. Her hand, the the size of a shuttle, reached out and stopped inches from him. The gesture alone stirred the air into cyclones. "Your kind names the stars," she murmured. "You name me now." He met her gaze, every instinct telling him to look away. "I didn't name you. I just noticed you." That did it. Something cracked, not in her, but in the universe around her. Every star connected to her pulse flickered in confusion, as if her emotions rewrote their gravitational contracts. In distant galaxies, suns wobbled in orbit. A cosmic whisper rippled across creation, "The Empress feels." In the silence that followed, Rex finally realized he'd just flirted with a deity whose mood swings could erase solar systems. He coughed. "So, I'm guessing that was, culturally inappropriate." Her laughter shook constellations. "Perhaps," she said. "Or perhaps you've spoken a truth that none dared. The stars will have opinions." She stood again, and across the void, starlight began to shimmer rebelliously, as though embarrassed for her. Rex watched in awe and mild terror as constellations rearranged themselves into crude shapes that suspiciously resembled human gestures of mockery. "The stars, they mock me," she whispered, stunned. He rubbed his neck. "Happens to me on social media all the time." For the first time in her eternal reign, the giant Empress didn't know whether to destroy or laugh. She chose both, laughter first, apocalypse later. And somewhere, deep in the void, the stars themselves began to rebel. Rex sighed. "Well," he muttered, "that's gonna look bad on the diplomatic report." Rex Dalton wasn't dead yet, which by his standards meant things were going surprisingly well. The giant Empress had not vaporized him, smote him, or used him as a planetary paperweight. Instead, she had simply turned away, her cosmic silhouette framed against the roaring aurora of her throne chamber. Behind her, stars still flickered in protest, rearranging themselves into what looked suspiciously like celestial emojis. Somewhere out there, an entire constellation had just formed a giant middle finger. Rex figured it was best not to mention that. "I seem," said the Empress slowly, "to have caused dissent." "That's one way to put it," Rex said. "Another would be, the universe is subtweeting you." Her gaze snapped to him, sharp, curious, just shy of deadly. "You speak strangely, human." "That's because I'm terrified," he said cheerfully. "When humans panic, we get witty. It's a defense mechanism. Some species use camouflage, we use sarcasm." She tilted her head, eyes burning softly. "You deflect truth with humor." "Constantly. It's cheaper than therapy." The Empress said nothing for a while, watching the rebellious stars blink and swirl, half angry, half amused, a galactic audience unsure whether to boo or cheer. Rex couldn't help it, even with danger humming in the air, he admired her. The way her movements bent light, the subtle thunder of her breath, she was terrifying, yes, but also magnetic. The kind of woman whose presence made physics reconsider its options. "You have disrupted me," she said at last. "My dominion trembles. My stars behave like insolent children. They whisper of rebellion." Rex scratched the back of his neck. "In my defense, I didn't think a compliment could destabilize cosmic order." Her gaze softened. "You spoke without fear. No one has done so in epochs. They call me Destroyer, Queen of Lightless Voids. You call me beautiful." He smiled. "Well, yeah. Someone had to tell you. You mistake recklessness for courage." "Maybe. But if it makes the universe laugh again, I'll take it." She blinked, puzzled. "Laugh again?" "Yeah," he said, leaning against a column of frozen plasma as if it were a bar counter. "Your empire, it's quiet. Perfect. Too perfect. Feels like everyone's afraid to make a mistake. You know what humans do when the room's too quiet? I cannot imagine. We tell a bad joke, and hope someone groans loud enough to remind us we're not alone." That earned him something remarkable, a small, uncertain smile. The Empress of all light actually smiled, and the universe blushed. Whole nebulae turned pink. The rebellious stars flickered brighter, scandalized. You are a strange creature, Rex Dalton of Terra. Flattery will get you everywhere, Your Majesty. Her smile widened just enough to make him regret the line and savor it simultaneously. You dare tease me? Hey, you started the emotional Armageddon. I'm just keeping up. For a long moment, she studied him, really studied him, as if trying to decode what it meant to be human. To be small, fragile, and yet unreasonably confident. Tell me, she said finally, why do your kind persist? You are weak, short-lived, foolish. Rex shrugged. Because we're bad at quitting. You'd be surprised how far a species can go on caffeine and poor decisions. The Empress actually laughed, a sound like thunder wrapped in velvet. Galaxies trembled with delight. Somewhere, an entire solar system spun into a heart shape before realizing what it was doing and pretending it was an accident. Her laughter faded, leaving a silence that felt almost tender. Your words, they move me in ways I do not understand. I feel light. That's called happiness, Rex said. Or maybe indigestion. Kinda depends on what you ate. Her enormous eyes shimmered. I have not felt it before. I am accustomed to obedience, not mirth. Well, welcome to the human condition, he said. Confusion, attraction, regret, sometimes all before lunch. Her expression darkened slightly. And yet, because of you, my stars rebel. They refuse my command. Maybe they are not rebelling against you, he said carefully. Maybe they're celebrating. She frowned. Celebrating what? That their queen finally smiled. The silence that followed could have stopped time. Then she whispered, You would risk death to speak such things. Rex grinned. That's humanity's whole brand, Your Majesty. Risky compliments and bad timing. A ripple of power surged through the room. The Empress rose, taller than before, her aura glowing with colors no spectrum could name. Yet beneath the majesty, her voice trembled with something new, uncertainty. Perhaps, she said softly, I no longer wish to be worshipped. Perhaps I wish to be understood. Well, Rex said, understanding's a messy business. Usually involves mistakes, coffee, and a lot of arguing. I am willing to learn. Then welcome to the club. She looked down at him, both amused and bewildered. Your kind is dangerous. Only when we talk too much. Then perhaps, she said, eyes glowing brighter, I should silence you. He chuckled. You could. But then who would tell you when your stars are misbehaving? The Empress stared, then did something no one in recorded history had ever witnessed. She laughed again, louder, freer. And as she did, the rebellious stars stopped flickering in defiance and began to dance instead, swirling around her in wild spirals of light. The rebellion had turned into a celebration. She looked up, astonished. They obey joy. Rex folded his arms. See? All they needed was a good joke. You jest even in triumph. It's a habit. Helps us survive success. Her gaze softened. You are not like the others of your kind. Sure I am, he said. We're all idiots, just in different fonts. The Empress smiled again, and this time the smile was real, unguarded, dangerous in the best way. The chamber filled with warm luminescence, and for the first time since creation, her empire did not tremble from fear but from laughter. As Rex looked around at the newly twinkling sky, he muttered under his breath, Man, I hope HR believes this one. Somewhere in the infinite void, a billion stars winked knowingly, as if they were in on the joke. Word traveled fast in the cosmos. Faster than light, faster than logic, faster than the Empress could sigh and say, What have you done, human? By the next rotation cycle, every empire in 3 galaxies knew about the incident of the compliment. Some called it sedition. Others called it art. A few tabloids, yes, even in space they existed, called it human male flirts with cosmic deity, universe reacts poorly. Rex Dalton woke up in his guest quarters, which now had a gravity field strong enough to keep him from floating off during mild panic attacks, to find his communicator flashing non-stop. Humans back on Earth wanted interviews. Alien philosophers wanted quotes. One romantic influencer from the Andromeda Spiral wanted his shirt. Apparently, said a small hovering droid named Pip, you've become a symbol. Of what? Rex asked, half asleep. Freedom. Rebellion. Bad decision-making. Take your pick. He groaned. Perfect. I accidentally start a religion every time I open my mouth. The Empress had summoned him, of course. Her tone on the message had been regal, restrained, the galactic equivalent of we need to talk. When he entered her hall again, he noticed something had changed. The air wasn't as heavy. The light wasn't so blinding. And the Empress herself, still enormous, radiant, intimidating, seemed distracted. You've caused phenomena, she said. Stars rewrite themselves to form verses. Moons rise out of sync. A black hole just confessed to loving a comet. The universe has feelings now. Rex rubbed his temples. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to weaponize affection. You misunderstand. I am not displeased. I am curious. That's new. Yes. And dangerous. He chuckled. Curiosity's always dangerous. That's how humans discovered both fire and tequila. Her eyes flickered. Your kind baffles me. You create chaos, and then laugh. Laughter's how we process doom. Works better than screaming. The Empress leaned forward. Tell me, Rex Dalton, what is love? Rex froze. It wasn't the kind of question you expected from a being who could juggle quasars. That's complicated, he said. You sure you want the short version? Speak plainly. He sighed. Love's when your brain stops making good decisions but your heart insists it's fine. It's messy, illogical, sometimes painful. But sometimes, he paused. Sometimes it's the only reason we bother waking up. The Empress regarded him silently, her cosmic expression unreadable. Then, slowly, she said, I believe I may be infected. He blinked. Infected? Yes. I think I have love. Oh boy. It is your fault. Yeah, I figured. Explain how to fix it. He laughed. Fix it? No, 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 love's not a virus. It's more like caffeine. You don't cure it, you just ride it out until your hands shake too much. The Empress frowned. I am a ruler of infinite dominions. I do not shake. You will, Rex muttered. Her voice softened, almost shy. This feeling, it disrupts me. I command galaxies, yet when you speak, gravity trembles. Is that normal? For love? Completely normal. Terrifying, but normal. Her eyes glowed brighter. Then I must learn to control it. You can't. That's the trick. So humanity's strength is surrender. In the best way possible, yeah. The Empress sat back, thinking deeply. The stars no longer obey me because they reflect my unrest. They mirror what I feel. Rex grinned. Then congratulations, the universe finally has a crush. She didn't laugh this time. She simply looked at him, as if weighing the meaning of everything she'd ever ruled. Then she said, softly, perhaps it is not the universe that rebels, but me. Rebellion looks good on you, he said. Her lips curved. Careful, human. You tempt creation itself. Temptation's our other brand. Suddenly, a tremor rippled through the chamber. The lights flickered. The Empress frowned. My council approaches. They disapprove of whatever this is. Let me guess, they don't like their goddess catching feelings for a Terran with bad hair. Indeed. They claim you are a corruptive influence. Well, they are not wrong. Moments later, the air shimmered. 7 figures of living light appeared, the celestial regents, her advisors and sycophants. Each looked like a floating sculpture of arrogance. Your Majesty, one intoned, We sense disturbance in the cosmic lattice. Your emotional state threatens equilibrium. The Empress said nothing. Another regent sneered at Rex. This human's insolence infects the continuum. Rex grinned. That's what they said about Jazz. The regents murmured, scandalized. He mocks. His human, said the Empress, eyes flicking toward Rex. Mockery is their art. He must be eradicated, one declared. Whoa, Rex said. Bit harsh for a guy who just said you look nice. The Empress raised her hand. The room silenced instantly. Enough. No harm shall come to him. The regents recoiled. You protect the contagion. She stood, vast, regal, unstoppable. I do. Because for the first time since existence began, I have remembered why creation was born, not from command, but from wonder. The regents looked horrified. You are compromised. No, she said. I am alive. Rex couldn't help himself. And apparently in trouble. She smirked. Always. The regents vanished, leaving only silence and the faint pulse of stars laughing in the distance. The Empress turned to him. They will act. They fear change. He shrugged. Every bureaucracy does. Trust me, I've worked for 3. You find humor in everything. Not everything, he said softly. Just the things that scare me. The Empress lowered her gaze. Then you must be terrified of me. Absolutely, Rex said. That's what makes this fun. For a long, suspended heartbeat, neither spoke. The cosmic winds hummed, stars shimmered like gossiping witnesses, and somewhere in the void, a sun spelled out something rude in Morse code. Then, slowly, the Empress smiled again, and the galaxies tilted to watch. The universe was holding its breath. Across the heliox continuum, stars trembled on the edge of mutiny. The celestial regents had declared a containment protocol, which in simpler terms meant erase the human, reboot the Empress. Entire galaxies armed themselves with sanctified logic. Somewhere, in the diplomatic logs, Rex Dalton was still listed as cultural liaison. No one had updated that he was now also the most wanted man in creation. He sat on the balcony of her citadel, legs dangling over infinity, staring at a swirl of violet storms below. Pip the droid hovered beside him. You could still run, Pip said. Hide on some moon. Change your name. Pretend you never complimented an omnipotent monarch. Rex smirked. And missed the fireworks? Not my style. Inside the chamber, the giant Empress stood alone. No guards, no council, just the weight of eternity pressing down on her shoulders. Her cosmic crown dimmed slightly, as though even photons weren't sure whose side they were on. When Rex walked in, she turned, not as the divine Empress, but as a woman realizing the universe suddenly had an opinion about her love life. They are coming for you, he said. For us, she corrected. Romantic, Rex said. In a doomed couple against the cosmos sort of way. Her eyes glowed faintly. You are unafraid. I'm human. We panic internally. She laughed, quietly, tenderly. The sound trembled through the citadel like warm thunder. They cannot comprehend laughter. To them it is a flaw. Good, Rex said. Flaws make the story worth reading. Outside, the stars began to align in military formation, living constellations shaped like armies. Each shimmered with righteous fury, chanting equations that could erase civilizations. Rex stared. That's either beautiful or terrifying. Both, she said. Like most truths. She stepped closer, her light wrapping him in gentle gravity. I can stop them, but I must renounce what I feel. If I let emotion remain, creation fractures. He met her gaze. And if you renounce it? The stars obey, but the universe returns to silence. Rex exhaled. Silence sounds overrated. You would risk annihilation for a single feeling. He smiled. Lady, my whole species does that every weekend. Her lips curved, a soft, dangerous smile. Your courage borders on madness. Madness built pyramids, jazz, and spaceflight. We improvise our way to progress. The first wave of regents appeared, colossal figures of light and law. Empress, they intoned, surrender the anomaly. Rex raised a hand. You mean me, right? The anomaly? I prefer guest star. Silence, contagion. The Empress's aura flared. Enough. He is under my protection. You jeopardize reality, they cried. Reality was boring, she said. He improved it. A ripple of laughter rolled through the stars, faint, hesitant, then growing. Suns flickered like giggles. Quasars pulsed in rhythm. The regents recoiled. What is this noise? Rex stepped forward. That's laughter, fellas. The sound of beings realizing perfections overrated. Blasphemy. Humanity, he corrected. You should try it sometime. The Empress looked at him, pride glinting in her gaze. They cannot unmake what has already begun. And then she did the impossible, she laughed again, louder, freer. The sound shattered command chains across galaxies. Armies dissolved into constellations shaped like hearts, spirals, and questionable symbols. The regents' forms wavered, their logic fracturing under joy. Rex watched in awe as stars rebelled, not in rage, but in dance. The cosmos was alive, improvising, finally imperfect. One regent screamed, "Order collapses!" Rex grinned. Then welcome to entropy, pal. We call it creativity. The Empress extended her hand. Light rippled outward, gentle but absolute. The regents vanished into harmless stardust. Silence followed, but this time, it was a living silence, humming with potential. She turned to him. It is done. You just laughed the universe into revolution. It seems human, she said softly. He smiled. Told you, humor's contagious. For a moment, the two stood at the center of everything, the human and the goddess, the joke and the creation it changed. Around them, the stars rearranged into new constellations, some elegant, some obscene, all glorious. What happens now? He asked. She looked up. Now, we live. Without fear. Without perfection. Together. Perhaps. If you survive being adored by the cosmos. Rex grinned. Story of my life. She tilted her head. You jest even now. Of course. That's our trick, we keep laughing so the darkness doesn't get the last word. Her vast form began to shimmer, shrinking slightly, condensing until she stood only a few feet taller than him. Then teach me, she said. To laugh. To live small, she whispered. To stumble, to feel. Lesson 1, Rex said. Start by calling in sick to the apocalypse. She blinked. And lesson 2. Never underestimate the power of bad timing and good company. The Empress smiled again, and somewhere, galaxies blushed. Pip's voice crackled in Rex's ear. Sir, you appear to have redefined cosmological constants through flirting. Add that to my resume. He looked at the Empress. You know, this might be the weirdest first date in history. She raised an eyebrow. Is it not customary for your species to share a drink afterward? Rex grinned. Customary? It's practically sacred. She waved her hand, and 2 glasses materialized, filled with shimmering nebula light. Then let us honor your customs, human. They clinked glasses, the sound echoed across the void, a toast that rewrote galaxies. To rebellion, she said. To beauty, he replied. And to bad ideas that work. They drank. Somewhere, the stars applauded. And for the first time in recorded history, the universe wasn't ruled by fear, or law, or logic. It was ruled, however briefly, by laughter.